Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I'm going to be reviewing some more tracks from an act named Passive. We're going to be going to a SoundCloud, so if we switch over to here, we're going to be listening through 3 tracks. It is a various tracks review. We've got Hurch, Much Less, Before, and My Brother. So yeah, we're going to hear these 3 from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. And just full disclosure, I have listened to Passive before, and for the most part, I've had a really great time. So I look forward to more of that, whilst also keeping a non-biased perspective on it, or as much as I can remain non-biased. And yeah. This is quite quiet. Is this meant to be this quiet? I'm just going to double check the volume. No, the volume's high. I'm going to turn my headphones up a little bit. I've got to kind of appreciate and admire the fact that Passive isn't trying to make his tracks too loud. Especially in like hip hop and rap and a lot of other contemporary genres, you have this loudness war thing where people are still trying to get the loudest possible sound they can. Unfortunately, a lot of the time the normalization on digital streaming platforms often kills that and makes the tracks ironically quieter. But yeah, anyways. That 808 is quite loud, isn't it?
Much less, but I still get stressed. Lord knows this mess weighing heavy on my chest. I confess, what up, what up? I confess, but I still get dressed. Can I deal with this mess?
It's good to hear that he's getting stressed, but he's still handling stuff, you know? That's great. We've got this nice string section on the right. The 808's got a lot of bass resonance there, which I think works well with the drums.
But I still get stressed. Lord knows this.
Am I tripping? Did I hear an 808 or is it just the kit?
Heavy on my chest. I confess, what up?
Nope, it's just kicks, never mind.
I confess, but I still get dressed. Can I deal with this mess? I've been trying to find the
Yeah, no, there was an 808, never mind. We just had that bit of shift, that dynamic shift there without the 808, and it was nice for the track to stand on its own just as well as it did with that sub bass.
Rhythm so I can define the kind of feeling. Closing my eyes, divine forgiving. I'm writing the lines of spiritual healing. If by design I decline, revealing the sickest to harness the art of concealing, the willing and dealing in property, stealing the killing, the hoping to follow the ceiling. Yeah, I don't look up to the sky when it's raining. To me, it ain't done till the puddles are dry. Blinding myself by
You know, it's cool. I dig the flow this guy has. The words are coming through nice and clearly. He's clearly an experienced, polished rapper.
By the sun on occasion, I needed the proof looking right in his eye. Days and weeks and months, they pass. Like, damn it, I wonder which one is my last. I'm flying.
Days and weeks and months pass, damn. I wonder. I know I'm paraphrasing here, but wondering when your last is. That's a crisis right there, isn't it?
Pick every chance I get, first class at a glance. I don't know how to respond to the negative. I just stay positive till I relapse. Anger, I'm stuffing it, off of it. Nothing, the bridges are burning, there's smoke on my breath. Plenty confessions of moments, addressing the darkest of minutes, the weakest of steps. Pity, pity, what a pity. You got to be kidding me. Ought to be used to the stress. I know the father, I feel for the people that never considered letting them in. I get it, however, too much in this era to justify putting your heart on a limb. But let it be known, we're far from home and grown. But one day we ought to go back just to be showered and rest, empower the beauty of living a life too fast. It hurts much less, but I still get stressed. Lord knows this mess weighing heavy on my chest. I confess, what up, what up? I confess, but I still get dressed.
It's nice to hear Passive talking about his vulnerability there. You know, like things are better, but they're still not where he wants them to be, and there's a sense of still needing to continue moving forward, you know? Because I think, although it's a struggle, I think people can still find some sense of inner peace in this day and age. Without being...
But I still get stressed. Lord knows this mess weighing heavy on my chest. I confess, what up, what up? I confess, but I still get dressed. And I deal with this mess, and it hurts.
And it hurts. And it hurts. And it hurts. He finishes on that line. There's that midpoint between it being painful or not. And it's you know, he's discussing that throughout this track. He still gets on his clothes. He still does what he needs to do. I think the strings in this mirror that emotion quite well. It has a sense of bittersweet, almost not melancholy. It sounds bittersweet. It's the drums are proactive, but the strings sound kind of sad, like you're still mourning something. There's still a bit of tension and anxiety there. Oh, that's cool. That's great nuance there. Well done, Passive. And now we've got ourselves the second track before. It's 5 minutes 45 though, which is kind of wild, eh? But that's okay. We'll see what we do with that time. Let's listen through this track as well. Okay, we got some clean vocals on top. That's pretty dope.
Like that sometimes, you know. And it goes. And it goes. Never goes. Never goes.
It goes lo-fi vibe with these guitars, eh? And the backing vocals. Nice extended intro as well. It's classy.
Things ain't been the same for some time. I've been wondering if I still cross your mind like before.
Interesting vocal modulation. That with the combination of the bass makes it a very somber experience.
Before the wind and the rain made us warm. Before the sin we created was born. Fighting like hell, finding ourselves trapped inside a storm. A roller coaster of emotions, babe. Tell me, how do you feel now? Tell me, how do you feel?
Just the album art here as well, or the single art. It's a shame to me because the single art, I wish that SoundCloud would allow you to move that art so that it could pop out on that side. There's just all the space here that could be used to have that a bit bigger, just so that you could have that alongside the track.
I had 100 times when it was the two of us. The secret to fix a broken heart is never breaking up, no.
Secret to fix a broken heart is never breaking up. Damn, dude.
And I'm concerned we left the fire burning, fire burning. Tell me, how do you feel? Tell me, how do you feel now? Things ain't been the same for some time. I've been wondering if I still cross your mind like before.
It's nice to hear him go on the upper ranges. This is something I heard in the previous track as well, where he'll stage his vocals in different frequency spectrums to differentiate between the parts of a song.
Before the wind and the rain made us warm. Before the sin we created was born.
Before the sin we created was born. I dig it. I dig we're talking about this pain being something that came from getting together or breaking up in the first place.
Finding ourselves trapped inside a storm. A roller coaster of emotions, baby. Tell me, how does it feel now? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, how do you feel? Tell me, how do you feel now? And we both know sometimes the rain turns into snow, and it takes a while for the water to dry. Frozen in time like you and I. And although
I kind of feel like we could potentially just have him a little bit like cleaner with his vocals without the chain on it, without the modulation. I reckon his voice would sound great without those effects. I mean, I know that's the style he's going for and that's cool, but I would like to hear his voice a little bit more naked in this track. I feel like that'd help a bit more with the well, not the authenticity, with like the showing the vulnerability of the experience.
and I hope this ain't goodbye.
But that's subjective, right? It's all good.
And if so, then I hope you change your mind. And I hope for better days. And I hope that you will stay. And I hope to find a way.
It's nice painting of the vocals on the left and on the right there with the filtering and flanging. The bass line rolls around really well as well. I like the fact we're not sort of too static with the bass lines in this mix.
some time. I've been wondering if I still cross your mind like before. Before the wind and the rain made us warm. Before the sin we created was born. Fighting like hell, finding ourselves trapped inside a storm.
I mean, it's a catchy chorus. It's somber. It's reminiscent a lot of the late 2010s, early 2020s hip hop. We've got that more low key kind of nostalgic for how things used to be, or regretting how things were, and looking at your own misery with the situation kind of vibe to it.
Roller coaster of emotions, babe. Tell me, how do you feel?
Subtle
now?
piano lines,
Tell me, how do you feel?
along with those pads.
Tell me, how do you feel? Tell me, how do you feel now?
Nice fit, nice build there, nice riser. Really subtle, it's good.
Been the same for some time. I've been wondering if I could still cross your mind like before. Before the wind and the rain made us warm. Before the sin we created was born. Fighting like hell, finding ourselves trapped inside a storm. A roller coaster of emotions, baby. Tell me, how does it feel now? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, how do you feel? Tell me, how do you feel now?
Yeah, I feel like this justifies the 5 minutes 45. It's longer than your typical single of 2 to 4 minutes, and for a first impression, it requires a bit of time for the listener, but I feel like Passive handles that well. Makes the most of that real estate. It's more of that track where the atmosphere is incredibly important. You know, obviously the story is cool. We had that talk about when the first son was born, being in a storm, you know, like things being all kind of chaotic and fighting like hell and etc. It does sound like we're processing the breakup or an end of a relationship and wanting it never to potentially separate in the first place in order to avoid it, the chaos that ensued from that. You know, the heartache heartache is the product of breaking up, or something along those lines. It's articulate. It's carefully, maturely produced, and I enjoyed it before. Finally, we've got My Brother by Passive. So we're going to listen through this last track. Let's go. This one's 3 minutes 18. This starts with an acoustic guitar. Hang on. Oh no. I thought we were going to go to that 1-5-6-4 progression there or something like that for a minute. No, that's cool. That's fine.
They took my brother, tore me to pieces, had me like Jesus. And I saw my mother's side, and I heard my daddy cry.
Beautiful, beautiful photo, by the way.
And my sister, I hardly even recognized. So much sadness in her eyes. Nothing made it better. And for days and weeks and sleepless nights, his rhythm kept playing in the back of my mind. It's been a terrible year. It's only July, my mind.
I think the acoustic guitar is what really helps this to stay grounded. It invokes a sincerity to the performance. How we're talking about something really, really intense, and it's balanced by kind of how fluffy that harmony is.
How come the good ones go and the bad guys win, and some hearts get broke over and over again, and the church doors closed but the choir still sings the same old songs about the same old things. So it goes, and
we're panning the vocals from left to the right.
That when the pain that you have isn't destined to pass and it hurts, can't you tell? Whiskey won't help on a Monday in April when heaven met hell.
Whiskey to cope with that. Yeah. It's rough.
They took my brother, tore me to pieces, had me like Jesus. I saw my mother's side.
Nice subtle vocal layering in the back. It gives us sort of a sense of depth when you have these different loudnesses, these different vocal layers, along with the guitar parts.
Daddy cried. And my sister's life, I hardly even talking something. So much heavy burden that I carry feels like nothing. Nothing made it better, leaving me.
Oh, okay, so this is why we were leaving space in the stereo field on like the right or the left side, was for like another voice to come in and do a harmonizing or a counter melody or something like that.
And for days and ways and sleepless nights, this rhythm kept playing in the back of my mind. Someday I'll see you again, and I will laugh and cry about the things I could have been.
You know, while it's difficult to know which one to pay attention to, I do appreciate the fact that this is probably what it's like being in the head of someone who's just lost a family member, or who lost a family member and still can't process it. You know, your head becomes a mess. It's really difficult to cope with. And you only know what that feels like when you go through that. I'm sorry for Passive's loss.
Go in the bad guys win, and some hearts get broke over and over again. Church doors closed, but the choir still sings the same old songs about the same old things. So it goes, and I know what good is that when the pain that you have isn't destined to pass. It hurts, can't you tell? Whiskey won't help on a Monday in April when heaven met hell.
And we fade out. Yeah, that's a difficult one to listen to. I can tell that, yeah, I think Passive did lose his brother. And it's not fair. It's terrible. To hear about the struggle that his family went through to cope with that tragedy, it's awful, man. And I have a lot of respect for Passive for talking about something like that. I think that you need to be able to open up to your listeners and express yourself in ways that, you know, while they may not have heard your angle before, they can still relate to how it feels to lose a family member. This is the kind of music where, like, I think it does well because it shows an authenticity as a musician and it shows them as being humans as well. Passive has done well with all three of these tracks. You know, we had Hurts Much Less before and My Brother, and because this is the conclusion, we had a situation here with Passive where each of these tracks was, you know, about different things. Hurts Much Less was again coping with life, and while you may not be hurting as much, it's still painful to do stuff and you just got to keep going. But it's being balanced and measured about that response to it. Before is about, I think, the difficulties of a relationship and coping with the aftermath of it and the fighting in between and kind of looking back and trying to learn from it. And the interactions that you two had. And My Brother, again, was about, I think, Passive losing his brother. And these were different angles to discuss, and I think each of them will have an audience for those messages. I think that people will be able to relate to certain parts of them, and I hope that Passive gets some love and support for his music. He deserves it. The vocals were done very, very well. The rapping was sensational. He's a great rapper. The vocals, while I don't have an issue with the modulation of the vocals, I understand it's a part of the genre. And it's probably a kind of texture that he really enjoys working with and appreciates, and I've got all the love for that. I feel like if we'd had some parts where he removed that modulation and just sang, just hear his voice like that naked, it would have been good. It would have been good, even if it was just a moment, just to hear him in a raw situation like that with his clean vocals. I know, again, the metatune and stuff like that is a part of the genre, and it's beloved by a lot of people, and it sounds really cool. That's just a subjective thing from me. At the very least, it would have been a nice contrast to a lot of the situations where we did have those effects in place. But yeah, great singing, interesting melodies there. The articulation and moding was great. The words came through nice and clearly. No complaints about the vocals. The instrumentation for the tree tracks was diverse and Each of them was unique in regards to their arrangement and orchestrations and performances. You can easily identify the differences between the three, and you know they were played well. They were structured well even before, which was a long form track. It never got boring, it never got old, and that's something that's exceedingly rare nowadays. When people do a longer track, sometimes they can just copy and paste parts, and it's really not going to work unless you have a solid core motif or an interesting story to begin with. And finally, you had the production of recording, mixing, and mastering, which was sensational. I've got nothing but respect for what was done here. I know at the start I mentioned that it was a little bit quiet. That's because I realized between the first and the second track that I'd actually accidentally had Google Chrome turned down in my volume levels. So there weren't any loudness issues. Definitely, the compression limiting is fantastic. EQing and panning, all the effects chains are great. So yeah, just clarifying that, okay? But yeah, well done to Passive for these tracks. I'm happy with them. He's developing himself as a musician and continuing to grow, and that's great. But thank you for watching this review of Passive's various tracks. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Passive some love via his various social medias, SoundCloud page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. It's either hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.